Picture this. It's 3 in the morning. You're wide awake, staring at the ceiling, your mind racing through every financial disaster that could strike tomorrow. Your car could break down, your laptop might die, or your dog needs emergency surgery. During the day, this translates into something psychologists call decision fatigue. When your bank account is near zero, every trip to the grocery store turns into an exhausting mathematical equation. You're constantly calculating whether you can afford the brand name cereal or coming up with creative excuses to decline a $25 dinner invitation from your friends. Because your resources are unprotected and finite, your brain assumes a constant defensive posture. Every financial decision becomes a careful calculation to avoid catastrophe, meaning you are constantly playing defense with your money instead of making proactive choices about your future. $10,000 is the specific threshold where this psychological rewiring begins. It is the tipping point that pulls you out of survival mode and rewires how your internal operating system functions. Let's compare the average financial costs of typical emergencies against a $10,000 threshold. An automotive emergency usually costs between $500 and $3,000. Urgent care visits fall into a similar range. Even a sudden job loss can be navigated, as $10,000 provides 3 to 6 months of breathing room. $10,000 provides functional immunity to the vast majority of financial disasters that keep people stuck in the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. It offers the security needed to stop reacting to crises and start planning for opportunities. Think about your daily commute. You were driving along when suddenly a bright yellow check engine light illuminates on your dashboard. This graph tracks your body's stress response to that exact moment. If you have zero savings, that dashboard light triggers an immediate biological panic. Your body releases a surge of cortisol, your primary stress hormone, launching you directly into a fight or flight response because you don't know how you'll pay for the repairs. But when you have $10,000 sitting in a savings account, your biological reaction is entirely different. As you can see, the stress response remains stable. The financial buffer suppresses the cortisol release, downgrading that exact same check engine light from an impending catastrophe to a simple, manageable annoyance. This lack of panic causes a ripple effect across your biology. Studies show that people with emergency funds report significantly better sleep quality. Because you aren't carrying that ambient stress, you also become less irritable and more patient with your family and friends. Financial security acts as a biological shield. It prevents the daily frictions of life from causing cellular-level exhaustion. Now, apply that same psychology to an opportunity. Imagine you hear about a certification program that costs $2,000 up front, but promises a significant salary bump, or a paid networking event that could connect you with better employers. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, your brain instantly rejects the idea. Taking $50,000 or $2,000 out of your incredibly tight budget to spend on something intangible feels entirely too dangerous. You skip the event. If you have your $10,000 foundation, that same decision feels manageable. You know you won't miss rent if the investment doesn't immediately pay off, giving you the confidence to actually take the risk. Financial experts call this the emergency fund effect. The most surprising thing about building a safety net is that most people never actually spend it on emergencies. They spend it on opportunities. They invest in education, move to better locations, or start businesses. The highest return you get from a robust savings account is simply the ability to operate without desperation. You negotiate better and walk away from bad deals, which naturally attracts higher compensation and better life outcomes across the board. Here is a pie chart illustrating daily mental energy. When you hit $10,000, you gain breathing room. Eliminating 90% of those daily survival calculations frees up massive amounts of cognitive bandwidth. You can see the survival math shrinking, replaced by a much larger capacity for strategic planning. You can finally redirect that recovered mental energy toward improving your situation. You notice your car insurance renewal and easily shop for better rates. You research cheaper, better phone plans, or finally sit down to understand your retirement accounts. This mental reallocation shifts how you view your finances. Money stops feeling like a scarce resource that vanishes, but saving your second thousand is noticeably easier. By the time you are working toward your fifth or sixth thousand, the process feels almost frictionless. Reaching this milestone proves that you have mastered the hardest part of wealth building. the ability to actually keep your money. The process builds a resilient, forward-thinking mindset that creates momentum for every financial goal that follows.